In a world that puts profit before purpose, today's guest proves that the two aren't opposites, they're partners. Welcome to In Her Words. I'm Thando Mazibuko, and today I'm joined by Ashley D. Varnado, Managing Director and Philanthropic Market Executive at Bank of America Private Bank. Ashley has shaped national strategies for teams stewarding 25 billion across 18 markets, and she's done it while championing emerging leaders, aligning financial performances with legacy, and creating space for others to step into their power. If you're a woman building your own first business, navigating your first leadership role, or simply asking, how do I lead when with meaning, not just metrics? This conversation is for you. It's an invitation to rise with purpose, confidence, and courage. Ashley, welcome to In Her Words. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tondo. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited for our conversation. Ashley, you've shaped national strategies for teams at stewarding 25 billion across 18 markets. That's no easy feat. And you've done it while championing emerging leaders. What first taught you that financial performance and purpose aren't opposites but partners?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. And, I have to share that I did that for many, many years. I'm currently on a radical sabbatical, which I know we will talk about in the next few questions or so. But it became very clear to me that the two are married, right? It is our responsibility, quite literally, as we continue to climb to bring others along with us. And so it meant nothing, my friend, if I was the only one who looked like me in the room, if I was the only female in the room, if I was the only African American in the room. It only meant something if I could help create and curate 5, 10, 15, 20 other emerging first generation corporate executives. The money and all of the success was certainly something in the first half of my career I was focused on. It was, I have to hit these milestones in order to consider myself successful, or I have to check these particular boxes. And then it became less about that because, again, how can you celebrate success if you're not sharing it? And so then it became about, okay, how can I make sure that I'm opening the game book, the playbook for other people to certainly fill my space once I decide that my season is up or it's time for me to do something differently. And so I think about success, marrying that to the financial performance, right, that you talked about. I think about it in terms of holistic success. So that success, again, only counts for something in my mind when I'm able to say that I've created that level of success or helped to curate that level of success for other people. And in my case, it was for young professionals, young African American women, and just in general, or anybody who aspired to do some of the things that I had done as well. So yes, the two were absolutely married. It became less about how much money I was making and how much money I was helping others to make.
That's true. Not a lot of leaders think like that, as you said, and you have said that you started your journey chasing that. I've always said that, like, I started my journey chasing being an accountant, and then I got into um, oh, I forgot.
An accountant, that is amazing, girl. Listen, I do not envy the accounting life. I started in accounting and I was like, yeah, the debits and credits are probably not my thing. So
But that has to come from somewhere where you are willing to, take as you rise, empower as you rise. Where did that all come from?
Oh, I love the question. Listen, I will be the first to say that I'm a beneficiary of philanthropy. Not all the time financial philanthropy, right? But most certainly others pouring into my life. That's how I got a chance to do so many of the amazing things that I've been fortunate enough to do. I remember very specifically growing up not having a lot at all, very humble beginnings, but seeing my grandfather, my mother, and my father give from the little we had. I very specifically remember my mother purchasing a car. It wasn't a fancy car at all. It was one that just got us around town, back and forth through all the things. And she saw another mother in need. And she decided to give that car away. It was not like, my friend, we could go and purchase another car the next day. I think my dad was so upset. He was like, wait a minute, it's okay to give, but you're giving everything away. Like, what are we supposed to do for transportation now? But that's the type of philanthropic background that I came from. My grandfather, who I talk about in my book, Out of the Yazoo Clay, my grandfather would relentlessly go to the food banks in Mississippi, driving back and forth using his own gas, etc., to bring it back to our hometown to ensure that our church could provide food for families who were in need. We didn't have a lot, but we certainly gave a lot. And I think that instilled in me this concept that, listen, whatever my talent is, whatever my gifts are, whatever my skills are, I want to make sure that I am pouring just as I was poured into, because it's all about legacy. It's not about, at the end of your life, how much money you made. Then it becomes how much money you left behind, right? Because you're an afterthought at that point. But it's not about how much money you made. It's about how many people did you touch? What were the experiences people had with you after experiencing you? And I always say, it is really important to me, not the beautiful words that people will write about, me after I'm gone. It's the conversation in the car ride home, where people will be at the end of your services and what do they really say about you? And so then it became, more about making sure that my life had purpose, not just attaining and doing all these great things and having people say these great things about me, but really making sure that whether it's through coaching or consulting or just making sure that I can give advice to folks who want to do the things or want to be a first generation corporate executive, giving them the roadmap on how to do that. I didn't have that. And it's really important to me that I can do that for other people. So it's mainly because I saw philanthropy all throughout and growing up. It was something that we really emphasize, and I emphasize with my children. But more importantly, I want to make sure that we're building a legacy and a pipeline so that long after I'm gone, there are 100 other women or young professionals ready to take the world by storm. And I would love to be able to have a hand in that.
And that is an amazing thing that you're doing. And we're so grateful that you're doing it because, the corporate world is not easy for Black people anywhere, even in South Africa. So it is a space that is hard to navigate for, and as a young person. So we're so grateful that that's the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a labor of love. I wish I had this. So where there are gaps, we go and create it, right? Where there are no tables, we create the table. And so, yeah, it's certainly been one of my life's pleasures for sure.
You've said that your journey is proof that you can harness scale, impact, and strategy to serve both communities and individuals. What's one lesson you've learned about leading and scaling as well without losing the human touch, especially for people with limited resources?
Oh, I love this question. Listen, you hear people all the time say you can't boil the ocean, right? You cannot boil the ocean. You can set out to do these amazing things, but you have to make sure you're pacing yourself and creating more of a phased approach so that you can have real impact. One of the things that I learned very early on and trying to scale these things, especially with limited resources, was to be patient with myself, be patient with the journey. I am one very goal oriented, as I'm sure you can tell, very goal oriented, sometimes to a fault. You sound like you relate to that. And I have an idea on one day, I want to see it come to fruition no later than 48 hours, right? I'm like, I see it in my mind. I want to see this come together. And there is no reason why. I'm the only reason why this thing cannot happen. And I had to learn very early on that I had to pace myself as to not create burnout, right? As to not exhaust the resources that were afforded to me. I had to be strategic in making sure that we were doing it and building it the right way, as to ensure that it was sustainable and it will outlive me. Sometimes when we see the vision as overachievers and we're ready to go to market almost immediately and figure out how to make something work, it certainly is admirable, but it creates a bit of angst for us. But more importantly, you're not really taking the time that you need to make sure that the blocks that you're building, the bricks that you're laying will be there and are steady. And so I had to learn, in building in anything I touch, whether it was building out a market or winning a deal or creating a long-standing relationship or creating a network of women that I support, or even in fundraising and the nonprofit work that I do, to make sure that I was taking the time, spending the appropriate amount of time with each step, being very strategic, being very agile at the same time, and giving myself space and room to adjust as needed. Because just because we see it in our head one way and we see the strategy in our head one way doesn't mean it's going to actually happen like that. So being forgiving of myself and the process and giving myself room to grow throughout that.
That's true. You have led across 18 diverse markets. What's one insight you've gained about building trust, communicating vision, and fostering confidence across cultures, especially as women of culture in finance? I mean, of color, sorry, of color in finance.
Oh my gosh, that is an amazing question. How much time do we have, girl? No, I'm gonna answer this quickly. Listen, I will tell you, being an African American woman, a woman of color, in the finance space is quite literally a task in itself, right? We certainly find community in other women, etc. We certainly look to find community in folks who understand our backgrounds, sometimes our struggles, and we hope to create a space that will allow women that look like us, right, to be vulnerable and be able to talk about what some of those struggles have been. One of the things I had to learn very early on about building trust across the 18 markets that I used to manage, or talking to clients about something that's really important to them, their money, right, their assets, was it starts with relationship. I historically came in, and self-awareness is a gift in this radical sabbatical, but I historically came in touting my achievements. I wanted the folks across the table to know that I was qualified, right? And so I didn't lead with relationship. I led with my resume. I would slide it across the table. We see those memes, right? You slide your resume across the table so people will know who they're talking to. I would do that. I did that in real life. And I found that did not establish trust, because guess what? Everybody's qualified. Everybody's done the work. Everybody's earned the title. What makes you different? And what I found made me different were two things. One, my authenticity. It was my superpower. I didn't realize that being just who I am, being myself, operating in my authenticity would help establish trust with folks sitting across the tables, with teams, with various markets. We so often feel we have to cover, and we got to put on a mask, and we have to fit a box, right? We have to be a prototype in order to gain trust. When people really can see right through that, they can see that you're not being yourself. It wasn't until I got comfortable in my own skin. And I would say, listen, my 13-year-old today really gave me a hard time this morning. And, other people started to open up, and other clients would say, I'm having the same thing. And that authenticity led to building true relationship where, again, you can create the level of comfort where you can have the hard conversations, where your advice was then considered sound, where, again, it became less about the idea of managing the money, although that was very important, right? Because that's what we're there to do. It became less about managing the money and the assets, and it became more about, listen, I have a partner in Ashley and her team who are going to hold my hand through the fire. because now we have established trust, we have relationship. And because of that, I am less likely to step away because I've already created this really sound and authentic relationship with who I'm working with. So again, I say it all the time. I say it to everybody, lead with authenticity. You don't have to cover, you don't have to be anybody other than who you are. It is in fact your superpower. Nobody can lead teams the way that you lead teams. Nobody has the vision that you have exactly the way you have it. Nobody has your voice. Right? And so leverage those things. You've already been equipped with all the things you need to be phenomenal and to make the mark that you were intended to make in this world. Why are you trying to be somebody else? Just lead with your authenticity and allow that to create the relationships and the trust that you need across the table.
That is great advice, especially for Black women in finance.
Yes.
You touched on your radical sabbatical. What does that look like for you right now? And where are you in your life and career? I think that's so exciting to hear
Oh
about.
my gosh, girl. Listen, it has been one of the best decisions I think that I've ever made in my life. It was a scary one. I made the decision at the height of my career, after doing all the work and attaining all the things, that it was time for me to step away. Now, my radical sabbatical was twofold. One, it was due to a medical event that took place where I was burning the candle at both ends. I had experienced 3 strokes last year. And I knew that my body was telling me to slow down. But again, the overachiever, I got to shoot over and beyond to prove myself, really operating from unhealthy ambition to prove myself, ignored all those signs until my body was like, girl, stop, slow down. Because if you don't slow down, I'm going to slow us down. And it did just that. And can you believe, Thando, that even after those medical events, I was still anxious to get back into the running, back into the race. I was like, oh yeah, this is fine. I'm determined to be back in heels in 2 months. Okay, what crazy person says that? Me.
No,
Okay, self-awareness.
I get that. That's
You get me.
that's the overachiever. Like, no, I'm fine now. I can go back.
I have to heal from this, but it's fine. I'll be back in my Louboutins in no time, right? It was insane. It was in my hospital room, and it's a chapter in my book. My book is called Out of the Yazoo Clay. It's on pre-sale now. But the room was called room 5316. And I was there in the dark, and I started to take an assessment of all the things I had done. Because when you're in a medical event like that, you start to think about time and the balance of time. How much time do I really have left? Like, this thing, as quickly as it snuck up on me before, can take me out, right? And so I started to take inventory. I was like, okay, I checked the box here, I checked the box here, I did all these wonderful things. But then the thought became, what will people say about me if this is my last day? How many people would I have impacted if this is my last day? How much time did I actually get a chance to genuinely spend with my children without a phone up to my face, checking emails, without being on the phone, without spending so much time in airports? What did my life really reflect? And that inventory came back saying, I spent a lot of time building my career. Yes, I had done some amazing things, but did I get a chance to really live? Can I truly say that I lived, right? And that I took advantage of my time here on earth. And so that radical sabbatical was birthed right there in that room 5316. And what it looked like for me at first was, it was scary because I had to learn myself again outside of the persona that I had created. Ashley, the managing director, the overachiever. I thought I was going to go stir crazy. I was like, I got to do something. Like, I got to get back to doing something. But that time, that quiet time, that silence really allowed me to get back to myself. Sometimes it's good, and this is just a free nugget, but sometimes it's good to just sit silently with yourself. Our minds are so busy. We're already thinking about the next 5 things that we got to do. Even when we're sleeping, believe it or not, our minds are still working. And that time forced me to really sit still with myself and get comfortable with who I was outside of the things that I had attained. And I'm grateful for that time because I do think that I've prolonged my life, knock on wood, but I would like to believe I've prolonged my life and reduced my stress by being able to sit still and really decide what I wanted this second half to look like. So I took this halftime. I got comfortable with myself again, started to spend more time with my children, the people that I loved, started to be really intentional, more so than ever before. I was 100% there when I was in a conversation, whereas before I would be in that conversation and in five more. I'd be texting, I'd be emailing. Now I'm creating the right boundaries where I can be the friend that I need to be, the sister I need to be, the mom I need to be, the spouse I need to be, and be present. It lets me doing national news, which is something I never planned on doing. I never planned to be on TV doing news, especially during this current geopolitical environment. But now I am doing national news 2 to 3 times a week, which is phenomenal. It's so much fun. But that's a path that I got on that I didn't ever plan to be on. And then I wrote a book. I wrote a book about this healing journey. It's called Out of the Yazoo Clay. It's a name play on my hometown in Mississippi. Again, very humble beginning. It's called Yazoo City, Mississippi. Yazoo Clay is a unforgiving soil or clay. You can't plant anything in it. When it rains, it swells. When it is really dry, it cracks. And so if you're building a house on it, it's almost impossible to not have your foundation crack. But the idea is that out of that clay, something beautiful came, and that's still evolving. And so it talks about my healing journey, even back to my lineage of, folks who came over as enslaved people, to now, and pulling on that lineage and that tenacity to, one, have the ability to achieve all the things that I've done, but having the courage to say, you know what? I've had my fill, and I'm going to pivot and change and evolve this late in life. And I'm excited about what that brings. And so I did a lot. I filled my cup with things I wanted to do. And that was the difference. It's radical because I stopped being told what I had to do with my time. And then I started to fill my cup with things that I wanted to do and having the autonomy to say yes or no to any one thing. And so it's been busy. It's been so much fun. I am getting the itch, Thando, to go back into corporate. I'm like, listen, that overachiever in me is creeping up every chance I get, especially now that the book is done. But I'm finding space in really mentoring and leaning into my philanthropic work now. So it's been fun. It's been so much fun.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so amazing. And I can't wait to read the book as well. How do you recharge now that you can recharge because you had a health scare? How do you recharge when you're such a busy person?
I take the autonomy in saying no.
Yes.
No is something I never said before. If they ask me to be in 13 places at one time, Thando, I'm not joking. I would try to figure out how within 30 minutes I could get to 13 places, and virtually impossible, right? But I would create that kind of pressure on myself to figure out, okay, if I spend 5 minutes here, if I do this, then I can make everybody happy. And I realized throughout the process and throughout my health and medical event, that is what wore my body down, creating the pressure for myself, moving the goalpost on myself. And so the way that I recharge now is I take pleasure, girl, in saying, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And it's not in a malicious way. It's not, but it is understanding my boundaries. How do I recharge? I uphold my boundaries. And when I feel like those boundaries are being pushed, I very politely put them back in place. I even have to check myself on my own boundaries to say, okay, you're starting that up again. But I will very quickly say, absolutely, would love to support you, but I'm unfortunately unable to do that. And that's just not with people outside my house. That's with my children as well. I will tell you, Saturday is a perfect example. My kids had 3 baseball games. I have 2 boys, 7 and 13. They had 3 baseball games. One of them was at the same time. They had 2 play dates. My oldest son wanted to hang out with his friends. And I sat them down on Thursday and I was just like, listen, mommy's not going to be able to do all this. So we need to choose what are the things that are most important to you. And I want us to create space for quiet time throughout the day, because I don't want this to just be my journey. I want them to learn how to sit down somewhere and rest too, right? As to ensure that I'm not passing down any of the negative impacts of being an overachiever to them. We kind of mirror what we see in our elders and our parents and grownups around us. And so I am relentless in saying, I'm protecting my peace. I'm protecting my time. I will close the door in a minute turn on my favorite TV show. I will sleep, I'll write, I'll walk, I listen, I'm leaning back into the arts. I do the things that bring me joy. And that's how I recharge. Boundaries and doing the things that bring me joy.
And my final question to you is, what does legacy look like to you now, and how has that evolved?
Oh, wow. For me, originally, legacy was I want to create wealth for my children,
Mm.
generational wealth for my children and their children. I want to be the first in my family to do all these things, right? I want to make my ancestors proud, right? That was what legacy was for me. Now, the way that I executed that was obviously going through the banking industry and becoming the youngest African American female managing director at the firm. And I found that that was not the true meaning of legacy. That is a part of legacy, right? You're still supposed to make your ancestors proud. I still hold true to all of those things, but it switched for me during this radical sabbatical in that my legacy should be, how do people feel after they encounter me? How do people change? What light do I bring into any room? What hope did I give to any individual? How did I really create space in this realm to ensure that my legacy will be felt far beyond the titles, etc.? So it became more about relationship and pouring back versus just achieving all those things for myself in the name of my ancestors. At first, it was all about me, creating legacy, getting the titles, getting the money, doing all those things. And now it's like, okay, now how can I really ensure that my legacy will create impact for whoever has encountered me in such a way? And I want to leave people better than where I found them. I want them to be better after encountering me. And so it has changed pretty dramatically. Now, that doesn't say that I don't want to still make money, right? And it doesn't say that I don't want to make my ancestors proud, right? Right. I'm still on earth. I still want a little coin. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not what I lead with. It's not what I lead with. I lead with purpose now. I lead with legacy now. And I want to make sure that, again, while I'm creating generational wealth, that I'm doing that and helping others to create that generational wealth as well. So it has changed quite a bit. It's changed quite a bit.
And lastly, Ashley, where can our viewers find you on socials or your website?
Oh, girl, I'm everywhere. Thanks to my amazing team. I'm like, Instagram, why am I doing Instagram? I don't do Instagram. They made me do Instagram. So I'm so glad that they did encourage me to do that. You can find me on Instagram at THEE Ashley Exchange. So it's THEE Ashley Exchange. You can find me on my website where my book, Out of the Yazoo Clay, is on pre-sale. And that's www.thethee AshleyExchange.com. I blog there. I would invite everyone to join the community, get on the subscriber list. Listen, we have a ball over there, and that community is growing like crazy. And then you can take the girl out of corporate, but you can't take the corporate out of the girl. So yes, I'm still on LinkedIn pretty regularly. And you can find me there as Ashley D. Varnado. And again, that's Ashley D. Varnado on LinkedIn as well. I invite everybody to connect. Certainly, Thando, you are not getting rid of me. We are connected for life now. For sure. But yeah, you can follow me at any of those handles. Please join and be a part of this movement that we're creating around radical sabbaticals and how to do it, and how to really tap into your own journey if you're feeling the pull to pivot or do something different. It doesn't matter how late in life you are or how early in life you are. The beauty of life is that you continue to evolve and grow. And that is what this book is about, how a woman who had set forth a mission to do all these things decided at a halftime that she was going to pivot, and what that process looked like. So yes, I invite everyone to follow me.
And I will add all the links in the description box.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ashley, thank you so much for sharing with us. You're such a bright light, and You say that your most important thing is how you leave people. You leave us with so much hope, so much joy, so much inspiration of, you know, being a more open person. And I'm so glad that I have met you, and you're stuck with me too
Yeah.
forever.
Yes, good. Oh, thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to support all the amazing work that you are doing. I am so impressed. Listen, you are so modest. But listen, if you are not following her today, go and do yourself a favor and become a member of the movement that she is putting forth. I'm like, how can I support that? And so, listen, it's good when good women are supporting good women and can encounter good women. So, thank you for being a light in our world as well.
Thank you so much. And your words mean so much to me. Actually, thank you.